Hello again, welcome back to another Handy Andy project, and we're going to shoot through here. And this is a great property to kind of show you a whole bunch of different things that Handy Andy does and why we do them. You can see, and you'll hear my brother stomping around here somewhere. Right here they had, and we'll post some pictures as well, they had a fascia board that was miscut, and then a little, what we call a dog ear triangle above that gutter that was rotted, and the pieces are probably out back. This is typical of new construction in Atlanta in the last 10-15 years. This house, despite this homeowner's efforts, the house was never flashed properly, it was never caulked properly, and even though he's tried to paint it and stay up on it, he's had a lot of problems. And it's simple stuff like at the bottom of this garage door right here, you can see where this part of the framing right here, see how it's never been caulked ever, and there's been at least 4 different painters have been in here to paint. And he's got a mix. They were able to settle for some siding money a few years ago, and so they got talked into just doing a partial replacement. So you'll kind of see where, and this is why we never do this, you can kind of see where we've got HardiePlank siding right here, and then it's butted up against a piece of LP siding, and you can see the difference in thickness. But because they've used a cheap caulk like White Lightning or something like that, you can see where it's actually split. And this house was only painted a couple years ago. And what really stinks for homeowners like this is you get out here on these jobs, and this is a good one because you start to see why it's so important. If you're going to own a home, yeah, you're trying to be reasonable with what your costs are, and you don't want to pay more than you have to, but you really want to get a good quality job from somebody like Handy Andy. So we're going to actually come in here on this house, and we're going to repaint the siding, but we're going to go ahead and caulk all these nail holes. And if he does that, this LP siding underneath here, when I show it again from the bottom, you'll see the bottom edges are nice and tight. I was at a property this weekend doing a bid for a family, and I was about the 7th or 8th contractor to come out, and they had me out there for new siding replacement. And this guy's gotten quotes to replace all siding. You don't need that. If the bottom edge is tight, just put a good hand paint the bottom edges, a nice spray paint, or if you can afford it, hand paint on the siding, and you're good to go. The people I looked at their house this weekend, they had bids from $20,000 to $30,000 just in the siding work. It's sad. They're going to pay us about $2,000 to $3,000 in repairs, and then they'll pay us probably about $5,000 to paint the house. So for $8,000, they're back in play versus they were looking at $30,000 to $40,000 total. You can kind of see where the caulk has failed. Always look for the black on your house. See this trim down here at the bottom? You'll see now this one was caulked. If you look over on that right corner, you'll see that distinct black line at the bottom edge. That piece of trim has never been caulked. The other sins on this house are when you get over here, you'll see this flashing right here. That little piece of metal over the top of that window, that's flashing. That flashing should have extended over 3/4 of an inch to 1.5 inches beyond the edge of this trim. This is actually cut short, and you've seen this in some of our other pictures. And what it'll cause is the water actually getting in. Every time it rains, it gets in behind that molding, gets down to the bottom down here, and it rots it out. And you see where the solution here, with the last painter that came through, he went ahead and talked the homeowner into just putting epoxy putty up for a repair. And you'll see what's happened with that. The repairs were made 2 years ago, and that stuff's all rotted out already. This piece over here is interesting because this gutter, when you look at it from the ground, it looks like it's fine. Now see here, you get a better shot of what's going on with this trim and why it's rotting. See right in here? That bottom edge has never been caulked. Where that brick mold hits the nose, never been caulked and sealed. The other issue with this paint is the last guy he painted didn't get all the mold and mildew off. That's why we hand wash every house with TSP bleach and water and a little secret formula that I put together over the years. It works like a charm. I've never had mold or mildew flash under a house. You can see what's going on in here. This gutter looks great from the ground, but it's been hung with spikes, never drained properly. So we'll clean it. I'm gonna pull it up and rehang that gutter with hidden hangers, screw hangers. Problems with these spikes that you've seen in some of our other videos, just like this one. See the gap at the back here? It's part of why it's not drained properly, because it's not pitched right, but also it's pulling away from the house. The weight of that water in there, every time it rains, it works this spike loose. Solution is always to bang it back in, but next heavy rain, it pulls back out again. So you can see where my brother was right here. We'll come back and video it when we're done, but he's gonna have a little dog ear piece out of 2x6 that he'll cut and put here, and then he'll replace this fascia board here with another piece of 1x6. And you can kind of see up close that even up high like this, how we cut these angle cuts so that it'll fit in nice and tight and the water will shed to the front and it won't rot out again. They had one up front here. I'm not going to be able to move the ladders because my brother's got them all over here, I guess. But on the front of this house, they finished a piece of fascia, I guess the builder actually, and just cut a flush cut and slapped another piece up against it, and so that's rotted out as well. So this house will have a bunch of carpentry and trim work done. We'll come back in here tomorrow and we'll caulk every one of those nail heads. We'll wash this house up. Because the house is never caulked properly, we're going to caulk it first. And you can kind of see what my brother's been doing here. The brick mold up here on the, see if I get a little closer to it. There you go, right there, Mr. Camera. You can kind of see the angle cuts, and what's happened is this bottom piece, and I'll show you some of the pieces out back, this had rotted out previously on both sides from the rainwater and water getting in behind those bottom edges of the molding that were never caulked properly. Down on the bottom windows, they did a better job of caulking that stuff out, but on the upper windows, they never caulked that stuff. And unfortunately, most painters, there's a few good painters in Atlanta, but not very many of them, to be honest with you. Most of them are spray and go guys. They caulk with paint. A few days in the sunshine, the caulk or the paint fails and you're back to it. On this window over here, you can see my brother's already come in and replaced the brick molding. That's that trim right there. You see that big gap? We'll come back in now and caulk that, but he's already repaired those pieces. Now, this is a pretty nice house, so you kind of get a feel for it. And you can see where they tried to touch up the paint last year, and you can see the difference here. This paint gets so much sun. See that color in my hand a little bit? When you get that on your hand, that lets you know that your paint film has failed. It's time to repaint. So a good test for you if you're deciding whether you need to paint or not is go out, wipe your hand on your siding or trim. If it comes back the color of that siding or trim, that's a clear indicator that the paint film has failed. You need to wash it properly, prep it properly, and repaint the siding of the house. Now here he's being talked into replacing this siding, but as the camera goes up the edge, you see a little bit of variance in the thickness of the siding, but not much. So with good caulk, this guy will be good to go, and he'll be sitting in this house for 10 years without having to replace his siding. You can see this corner board here has never been caulked at all. There goes my brother stomping by. You can wave and say hi. This guy can make anything out of wood. Anything. He's a master cabinet maker. Been doing this stuff since he was 6 years old. He's been in a cabinet shop. I'm a 4th generation contractor as well. And some days I honestly don't know a heck of a lot. These are the replacement pieces my brother's going to be putting up there above that gutter right there. And here's how builders build. This is finger jointed exterior trim. It's junk. The builders came up with it because it's cheap. There's no waste. There's lots of scraps that the manufacturers can remill this. One of the big name builders in Atlanta had his own factory to make this stuff actually. But you can see what happens here, and the moisture gets in, just rots that stuff plumb out. You know, it's okay to use it as long as it's painted and caulked properly. You got to back prime the bottom edges of this stuff. Over here in this corner, you can kind of see what the other painter has done. This is putty right here, and when we pull that out, you'll see it's all rotted. And again, you can see where the flashing right here is cut real short, so the water's getting in behind it. Here, they've gone ahead and replaced the chimney with HardiePlank. HardiePlank's the best siding in America. We hear some complaints about it now and again. The issues with this house are that when they redid this chimney, whoever did it didn't put kick-out flashing at the gutters where the gutter hits the siding. So we got to come in and add that now. You can see again where this isn't our work. This is some other handy person thought they were handy. See where they slapped that putty in there? When we pull it out, that piece of wood will be all rotted from behind. We kind of scattered our tools around here. What's going on back here is we've got 3 windows and a door that it's too expensive to come in here and reflash every one of these windows and doors. So we'll seal them with roof sealant, clear elastomeric sealant on each side. But here my brother's coming in here and replacing all the brick molding around this window right here. So we'll reflash this window, this door, and these 2 windows as well. And because we're doing it, we're going to replace that one piece of siding with HardiePlank all the way across. So my brother will be getting that done. We'll get that knocked out today. This door right here, again, you can see what they did. This is all puttied up in here. You can see it a little bit better in this corner here. So we'll be coming back. This will take us about a week to finish this project off. We'll be coming back with the same colors. And we'll get the carpentry done today, tomorrow. And so we'll finish this one up. But if you're ever looking for someone to give you pricing on repairs or painting, any kind of handyman service work, we do all repairs and maintenance here all over Metro Atlanta. I'm Handy Andy. We've been here in Atlanta 16 years, A+ rated, Better Business Bureau. There's not a lot of companies like ours. There are some good contractors in Atlanta. We like to think we're one of the best, and you can certainly get a free quote from us for anything you want to do If we don't do it, we'll refer you to someone who does. You can find us on hometalk.com, where I'm a featured contractor. And you can also find us all over the internet. We got videos on youtube.com under Handy Andy Home. And we're also at handyandyhome.com. You can reach me directly at 770-912-2829. Look for this truck on the highway and give me a wave, because I'll probably be behind that wheel. Take care. Have a handy Andy day. Bye-bye now.